On today's Cardinals squad show, reacting to the initial 53-man roster, what will the offensive identity look like? Should the Cardinals add someone else? And the Saints and the Panthers are both making moves. The first two opponents of the Arizona Cardinals, is it help them or hurt them? Let's talk about it all next.
Rise up, Red Sea. It's the Cardinals squad. Sponsored by Game Time. Everything Arizona Cardinals every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Valley of the Sun. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Gear up and squad up. The Cardinals Squad Show starts now.
Welcome into the Cardinals Squad Show. There is... Oh, my script went away. Sorry about that. Welcome into the Cardinals Squad Show. My name is Benjamin Garcia, host of the Ben Garcia Show, as well as a credentialed Arizona sports media member. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals Squad Show your first listen here on this beautiful Wednesday. Don't forget the Locked On Cardinals Squad Show is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button to do what thousands of Cardinals fans have already done. Become an everydayer and get locked onto the Arizona Cardinals right here each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. Joining me today from your regularly scheduled Locked On Cardinals show, Alex Clancy, as well as former Super Bowl champion, or I guess I should say still Super Bowl champion before he gets on me, former offensive lineman in the NFL for 7 years, and as well as an Arizona State alum. What's up, fellas? How are we doing? I understand, get a little crap for not having the thing out in front of me. I can do it by heart, but if it's not there, it's like a security blanket. It's going to mess everything up. But listen, still the preseason technically. How are you guys doing?
It's the regular season. We're here.
Yeah, no, kind of.
We're there. We're there. My mind has shifted at this point. Rosters are out. Everybody's locked in. It's time to go. It's week one.
Well, listen, at least I think I'm there mentally, but I think I still need a couple more reps before I get it down. And part of that would be have the correct things out in front of me so we don't screw up the entirety of the show. Let's get the thing back on track. The Arizona Cardinals have cut down their roster to 53, just like every other team has. We understand this is the initial 53-man roster. There could be some more cuts down the way. Maybe someone gets let go and the Cardinals want that guy. They say goodbye to someone on their roster to bring him in. But for the most part, this is it. Clancy, I'm sure you got some strong opinions about it like you normally do. Initial thoughts on the 53-man roster?
I mean, as expected, like the biggest thing that I saw, and I know we'll get into the little surprises here and there. They're little surprises. This is what a boring offseason looks like when you do what you're supposed to do. It's like, everybody that they cut is now on the practice squad. Yeah, okay, exactly. The fact that Xavier Weaver made the 53 and Simi Fehoko is on the practice squad. He was still on the practice field today. Like the fat was trimmed, and Jamil said it first, like midway through the second preseason game when you didn't know, like any casual fan didn't know any name. They were good then. This is what happens when you incrementally do things over the course of 3 off seasons where it's like, okay, this is the final product of what the rebuild looks like. Now go. So nothing surprised me. And anything that did surprise me was like a tertiary or so far removed from what's actually going to matter between the lines on game day that it doesn't really matter. We're just football nerds. So, we freak out about it. But yeah, as advertised.
Yeah, I didn't have nothing shocked me about it. This was probably one of the more boring roster cut downs that you could experience, just in terms of like, I feel like from week one, we've been saying the guys that are the guys, we know who they are. And there may have been, a few, maybe 2 or 3 roster spots that could have been interchangeable, maybe the last wide receiver or, a corner based on things like that. But outside of that, man, I felt like it was pretty set in stone after week 2 of the preseason who was going to be on the roster and who wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, now I was wrong about Michael Carter for sure. Donovan Knight making the roster, and that wasn't like – Jonathan Gannon said it to the media today. He's like, there was no like late push here. Like these guys were the guys. Donovan Knight was outperforming Michael Carter the entirety of camp. So he is now on the active roster, and Michael Carter will be there if somebody gets hurt. Elijah Jones, good for him, 3rd-round pick out of Boston College 2 years ago. He was a fringe guy. He made it. the only guy who was cut that was picked up by another team was Jalen Jones, went back to Chicago. So it's like anybody that was worth their weight avatar-wise, because these are human beings, remember, worth their weight to be an NFL player for the Arizona Cardinals is on the active roster or on the practice squad. So that's what the leveling up the floor looks like. It's like it's supposed to be boring.
Yeah, and even with sorry, Ben, I know you keep trying
go for it.
Even with the practice squad now, it's so different because you're able to elevate these guys on game day. So, you could say, oh, they had to go from 90 to 53. I think, what is there, 12 guys on the P squad? So whatever the math is on that, or is it 10 guys on the P squad?
I think it's more than that. I think it's upwards of 16. I think they brought 13 guys back today, and I think there's 13 spots. One is an international spot. So there's still a little bit of room for them to add.
Okay. So yeah, you really have the practice squad has even changed in terms of like those guys that are on P squad. Some of them are going to play this year and they're going to be depended on. So I feel like they feel really good about their roster given, the end of training camp here.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the things you guys had said. It was mostly set in stone. The things that maybe mattered years ago, like will Michael Carter make the team? Will he not make the team? Who will be the second? Like that mattered because the Cardinals starters weren't very good. So the backups were going to play a lot, especially in that first season. And even kind of last year a little bit. People kind of got their panties in a bunch because Michael Carter didn't make the team. I kind of threw it out there multiple times. It's like, okay, well, no one else wanted to pick him up off waivers. So clearly he's not exactly one of the better running backs in the NFL. However, let me throw this at you. And I'll cover up your guys' faces after you guys have kind of already said your piece. But this is the cut downs that were made official from the Arizona Cardinals. And you kind of mentioned Elijah Jones making this team, but not just Elijah Jones. Keichel Clark also made this team. Denzel Burke, who's a fifth-round guy. Fifth-round guys get cut all the time. Also made this team. Amari DiMercato made this team, who was not drafted by the Cardinals, but he was an undrafted guy. Do you think we're starting to see one of what I believe could be Monty Ossenfort's flaws? And it's something that a lot of general managers have. They're guys that they select or they bring out from the draft, either undrafted or they select. They just get a longer leash than other players. I'm happy that Darren
100%,
Hall. Well, listen, like Darren Hall was someone who I thought absolutely earned a roster spot in this cornerback room. I saw Clancy tweet out, and I disagree with this, that it's a loaded cornerback room. It's something that I'm actually a little concerned with outside of the starters. But I thought Darren Hall earned a spot on this team, and at the end of the day, he didn't get it. What do you guys think of Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon being a little too stubborn when it comes to their own draft picks? The Clayton Tune experience should have been done 2 years ago. Yeah. And now with Elijah Jones and Denzel Burke and Keichel Clark, they're giving these guys a little bit of a longer of a leash, and that can be a flaw. Because what if at the end of this year, Kyler Murray's gone and they want to bring in another quarterback? Let's say it's Sam Levitt at ASU, just to say it, and he stinks. Maybe they don't want to get rid of that guy for 4 years because
that's a leap.
That's their guy.
That's a leap.
What's that?
That's a leap.
What? Oh, okay. Well, that's what
a leap. It's a quarterback and it's a fifth corner. It's completely different. Like, Jamil, I'm sorry, I'm jumping on this. Like, there's one huge correlative between all those people you just named who are on roster spots aside from Denzel Burke. Special teams. That is massively important to Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort. Keichel Clark, Amari DiMercato, special teams. If you have a value on this team, it doesn't have to be on offense or defense. If you are able to, and that's why I was so surprised that Simi Fehoko got cut and then obviously brought back, because he had a couple massive special teams plays this preseason. Like, it is so important to both of those guys. That's what it is. That's why they may get a longer leash. Keichel Clark, like, that's why he's still on the roster. It's not because he's a good corner, because he's not. He's a below average corner. He's an average to above average special teams guy. That's the differentiator between the two. I don't think it's ego. Like, this isn't Jerry Jones giving a guy a second contract just because he drafted him. This is Monty Ossenfort is a football nerd who looked at the numbers more than others and includes special teams.
I'll say I definitely agree with the idea of special teams needing to be addressed with it. I'll also say that is common with GMs and coaches giving their guys, whether it be draft picks or guys that they consider diamonds in the rough, like that is common because if you're a GM and you find this guy and you believe in this guy, it's almost he has to completely screw it up in order for you to say, you know what, I was wrong about this, because now that looks bad on your part as far as your evaluation process and how you view talent, I guess, at the certain position. So that is definitely a thing. I mean, when I played in Buffalo, dude, it was the draft picks got the longest leash, like, and it was known around the building. Like, you could have a game where you give us some sacks. Hey, you'll be all right. They'll get you right next week. But that's just the reality of the business.
Yeah, I would just lean towards, like, I'm well aware about the special teams aspect, but I never thought it was super close between Xavier Weaver and Semi Fehoko, because I thought Xavier Weaver brought something to the wide receiver room that wasn't already redundant to what Semi Fehoko did. And I understand the argument of special teams, but Darren Hall was someone who I thought deserved a roster spot on this team. And I understand special teams is very important. Sure. Mari DiMercado's there. Keichel Clark is there. Awesome. But you could have lost one of those guys to bring Darren Hall back on the roster. And I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth, because I just said the same thing about Michael Carter, and Darren Hall didn't get picked up. My point being is this. It feels like, because they put in also 0 waiver claims. They were not aggressive at all. Monty Ossenfort, he has his guys. He has his way of doing business. And for better or worse, it's kind of going to be his way or the highway. He doesn't make splashy moves, and it might work out. I'm not saying it can't. I'm just saying it is something that even derailed Bill Belichick at the end, where drafting caught up to him. He kept on sticking to his guys, and eventually it cost him his job. So That's the only thing I'm saying, is just a little stubborn. And
that's just the tree that he's come up under. Like that is the style in which he believes in. It's very, when I played in New England, in Tennessee under Vrabel, obviously he has ties to New England, but it was very, the guys that are in this building are who we're rolling with. We're not, he's like, the 53 guys that make this roster, you won't get any guys that we cut that were in camp just to bring someone else in. It's like, who's in this building? We know that you know our stuff. We know that you've been through our training camp, and so we're ready to roll with you. That's where Monty Ossenfort is cut from. Yeah,
but I mean, again, we're making an ant size thing, a globe size thing.
100%.
Like, this isn't like, if they were first round picks, we're having different conversations. These dudes are fringe roster guys. Yeah. Like, also, Bill Belichick was Steve Keim with Tom Brady. Bill Belichick was the worst drafter we've ever seen. Okay, like, look at his draft history, being GM and head coach. It's awful. Outside of Gronk. But it's like, he drafted terribly. Did they have a good wide receiver the entire time he was there that wasn't Randy Moss or Julian Edelman, who was a late round flyer? Like, it was awful. They just cut that offensive lineman who was projected to be a 3rd or 4th round pick that they took in the 1st round in 2022.
Yeah, like, Cole Strange.
Here's the thing. With Monty Ossenfort, what he's done so far is categorically change the Arizona Cardinals organization since taking over. We don't know if it's going to work. We know it's exponentially better than it was before. So now to question little things here and there, it's like, well, I mean, yeah, we can, because it's camp and stuff. Darren Hall wasn't going to see the field. Keichel Clarkson not going to see the field. And if they do on defense, something went really, really wrong. So this is something that, of course, we need to discuss everything that happens. Absolutely. This is a, by and large, shift from who's going to play cornerback alongside Patrick Peterson.
Yeah.
Who's good? They've got too many good guys. And that's the whole thing about, like, not making a splash. They could have gone out to Milton Williams and give him $100 million that the Patriots did. Instead, they signed Josh Sweat, Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson, extended Trey McBride, extended Budda Baker, extended James Conner. Splash isn't always, like, usually splash doesn't work. Ask the Raiders and Christian Wilkins. Usually splash doesn't work when it's free agency, because if that free agent was worth that money, the team that he left would have paid him.
Yeah, the system definitely overrides the splash, in my opinion, when it comes to building a team and revamping a roster. You want guys that fit within your system before you want to just go pay a guy big money to come play.
I think I've just ultimately given up on the idea that Monty's ever going to go proverbially all in. We don't actually know when the Cardinals are going to be great and when they're going to win a Super Bowl and when they're going to get breaks their way. But after 3 years, he doesn't make splash things. And to be fair,
what does all in look like though? Like
all in for me this year would be packaging a couple of firsts and going and getting Micah. I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do. My point is we are learning about what Monty Ossenfort's philosophy really is going to be, because through 3 off seasons, he's not making big moves. He's not overpaying for stars. And I would agree with Clancy on that one. Free agency mostly is whiffs. And for guys like Milton Williams, like that's not being splashy. That's just reckless. And so I think what we're learning with Monty is slow and steady is going to win the race for him. He's going to build a team that's got a really high floor, but he's not going to be, adherent to stars. And I'm just saying that at some point, maybe that could bite them in the butt. He's stubborn to his own playbook. That's all I'm saying.
Well, so here's the thing. Like, before we pivot, like we're gonna find out this year because they've got all their picks next year. I think they may have lost a late rounder next year, but they've got all their picks. They've got all the money. They still have $20 million to spend this year that they can roll over to next year if they don't bring somebody in this year. They've got all their picks the year after. Okay, so this is the floor that you're starting from, and this is the window. You've got a 2-year window where you can be quote unquote reckless with whatever you want to do to try to level up this roster, but without cratering, like the New Orleans Saints did and like the 49ers did in some sort of capacity. You need to know what the baseline is, and that's this year. So what happens this year will predicate, and say they go, say they're 5 or 6 games above 500 before the trade deadline, we could be having a very different conversation. But you need to know where you're at before you can know where you're going with spending all this money on talent. It's just, sure. I think this is like, look at what Ozzie Newsome, look at what the Ravens do. They draft and they pay. That's what you want to look for. Look, Kyle Hamilton got $100 million this year at Notre Dame. Like, you draft and you pay. And that's what Monty Ossenfort's path is. That's what we're seeing. And we're just a couple years away from everybody getting paid, if it works.
Absolutely, that would be the right way to run a program, like obviously effectively. I just think every now and then you got to make a move to put your chips on the table. Otherwise, you become what you are, a team with a high floor. And yes, you can do it with your own draft picks, but I just think sometimes you can be a little bit more aggressive. Let's move on to the Arizona Cardinals keeping 5 wide receivers on their roster. It raised a couple of eyebrows. Some people, I think Clancy and I both kind of thought Semi Fehoko was going to be on this roster. They're sticking with 5 guys. Is that a sneak peek on what this offense is going to look like next year? Let's talk about that and much more next. First, today's episode is brought to you by my friends at FanDuel. This is actually insane. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Listen here. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. That's absolutely insane. That was not around when I first jumped on FanDuel, when it first became legal. It was like $150 in bonus bets. It's $300 now. Listen, I love using the FanDuel Sportsbook app. And if you're someone like myself and you feel very confident about the Cardinals' first game of the season, -5.5 against the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans, -270 on the money line. Listen, if you want to win your first bet, I feel like you put a couple of dollars down on the Arizona Cardinals to take care of business, but maybe you don't even feel that good about it. Maybe you want to go somewhere else. But what about the Denver Broncos at home against the Titans? Elevation, Cam Ward, rookie quarterback against Vance Joseph. That might be a decent bet as well. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app today by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, so I want to throw this back up on the screen from the Arizona Cardinals showing us their exact roster before it got cut down. I'm sorry, now that it's cut down to 53. The wide receivers they only kept 5 of them. Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Greg Dortz, Zay Jones, Xavier Weaver. If I was guessing, I haven't seen an actual depth chart. I would guess it's Marvin Harrison Jr., Zay Jones, Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Xavier Weaver. But this is what got me thinking. If the Arizona Cardinals are just keeping 5 wide receivers when we kind of thought they were going to take 6, is that telling you already, without telling you, that the Cardinals' offensive identity once again is going to be predicated on running the football, smash mouth, very similar to last year, but with a better floor of a defense, and we're not going to take as many chunk plays as we maybe could before? Is that what you guys kind of felt? Or is it just, listen, these are the guys that deserve to be on the roster, Clancy? Oh, your mic is off. Oh, uh-oh. And
that's weird. I didn't turn it off. Because there's Trey McBride. That's the simple answer. Trey McBride's the most important pass catcher the Cardinals have. So it doesn't really, he's wide receiver 1. I know he's a tight end, but he's wide receiver 1. I think that's really the predominant. They're going to run 12 personnel more than they're going to run 11. Like, it's not like they've got Tip Ryman, Elijah Higgins, and they have that fourth tight end as well. Like, yes, to answer your question, this is going to be a run first team. I do think there will be an uptick in passing compared to last year. Like, I think it's going to be a little bit more whimsical on the offensive side of the ball than just off tackle left, and then Trey McBride dumped down for a first down. I think it's going to be more than that. And if it's not, they could be in trouble. But I do think from last year, the defense not being as great, yeah, I think it seeped into Drew Petzing, Sarah Bell, about like, hey, we got to do things a little bit differently. I think there will be more of a rip-it mentality this year. But yeah, this is a run-first team. And listen, if Trey Benson levels up, it could be a very boring offense, even with Marv on the field. Like, and that's good. Whatever works. Who cares?
Yeah, I agree. I think the fact that it's going to be a run-first offense, I feel like that's what it takes to win. Like, you can't just come out and, I know it's a passing league, but you have to have a run game in order to, pick up those tough situations. Hey, I got a loud clap coming through my ears. Hold on. What was that?
Yeah, what was that?
You're muted now, muted, bro.
I pressed a button over here. I'm so sorry.
It's all good.
A button over here.
Keep
talking. Sorry about that. Whole sound.
It's all good. I think that the offense, like Clancy said, Trey McBride is an extension of the wide receiver group. He's obviously the tight end, but they're comfortable with, running the pass game through him as well. I think we're going to get a heavy dosage of Marvin Harrison Jr. Hopefully, I think Zay Jones will be big in this offense. And I think Michael Wilson, I got to go with the Zay Jones. I think Michael Wilson will make a lot of plays just given the Zay Jones effect. I think it'll be a big thing for the wide receiver group. So I don't see it as a problem as well. I mean, Greg Dortch will get sprinkled in there. He's obviously got probably special teams abilities as well. Like that, it's just like they're in a good spot when it comes to the pass catchers, in my opinion.
All right, let me play devil's advocate once again because there's too much agreeing going on here. What if you take the last 2 Cardinal seasons and they were a run-first offense both times? And last year, they did that throughout the whole season. They probably should have playoff team. They crumbled. You can make an argument. Maybe they passed too much. Maybe they should have been a running team. However, the identity of this team has been run the football and make opposing teams feel you physically. Is that the correct thing the Cardinals should be doing to at some point be a legitimate playoff threat? Like, not just get into the playoffs, but also win maybe a game or two so that other teams fear their attack? Or is it, if they stack the box, they stop the running, the Cardinals have no ability to throw the ball over top because you just don't trust Kyler, they don't have a deep threat? Is this the correct way the Cardinals should be running an offense for a team that eventually does want to win playoff games?
I mean, they do trust Kyler, so I don't know where that came from, number one. Number two, hey, Jamil, would you rather run block or pass block?
I'd much rather run block.
Oh, that's 100%. So every team who's capable of running the ball first runs the ball first. So that's not something like, you think Joe, look at what happened with Green Bay last year. It unlocked with Josh Jacobs. When Joe Mixon was able to run the ball and score touchdowns, that's when Houston thrived. Like, the biggest issue with the Cardinals is the running game and the pass game don't complement each other. Mm-hmm. they are separate entities on the same side of the ball. There's no cohesion. Yeah, you can run play action like everybody else. But when you are passing in a rundown and running in a pass down and keeping opposing defenses guessing, that's where the matrix is unlocked. And the Cardinals haven't figured that out yet. So that may be Kyler, it may be Pexing. It's probably a mixture of the two. But, like, I'd much rather be boring and get 5 yards on first down. You know, if you can run the ball, that travels. The reason why Miami doesn't win in cold weather, because they can't run the ball. If it's not Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, it doesn't happen. James Conner works at all 32 stadiums. Doesn't matter if it's inside or outside, regardless of the month. And if that continues, that's a strength, not a weakness.
So let me ask you, because we already talked about, hey, if Marvin Harrison Jr. has a 1,250-yard year, 1,300-yard year, 8 touchdowns, McBride's got another 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns, the Cardinals won 11, 12 games. I think there's real skepticism that could be the case because the Cardinals don't throw the ball downfield. What does a successful running team look like? Remember years ago, Mark Ingram and I think it was Alvin Kamara both had 1,000 rushing yards. I think David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs just did it last year. What does a successful offense look like that's identity is predicated on running the football to where you're like, oh, they won 12 games this year, just looking at the statistics and not looking at the records?
Kyler Murray has to hurt people with his legs as well. It can't just be all on James Conner and whoever else is splitting or getting the ball. Kyler Murray has to essentially be an extension of the run game like Lamar Jackson is in Baltimore. And even if Kyler is, he just needs to be a threat. That's it, and it'll be successful because now you can't just crash down in the pocket or crash down in the box and stop the run. So it looks like Kyler Murray, rushing for, I don't know how many touchdowns he needs to rush for us to consider it.
He did before.
Yeah, for us to consider it a success, but he has to be a threat. It has to be known that when they go on the field, this is something that can beat us if we don't address it that week.
Yeah, so Jamil, sorry, I was gonna loft this up to you guys too, and I'll let you go after. But last year, Kyler Murray had 572 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns, and he had 2, obviously, those really long ones, one against the Chargers, one against the Niners. If there's a stat line out there, like Kyler ran for 800 yards this year, the Cardinals went what? Is there a specific number you're looking for? Because, and also, like, do you believe Kyler's going to run this year? Like he says every year he's going to, and he doesn't.
He's going to run more, but 20% or 17% of that total was the 49ers and Chargers runs. That was 100 yards combined. So, like, that's, we're close to it. Like, with Kyler, it's totally yards. It's not just rushing yards. Like, for me, when you said Kyler Murray, I didn't think you were going to talk about the run game. Like, if Kyler Murray can do what he's done in spurts for the entirety of his career in the pass game, that unlocks Shangri-La. That unlocks everything. If you can be a threat in the pass game and you have these 2 guys in that offensive line to block for them, running the ball with Drew Petzing schemes and Justin Fry coming in, like, that's the win. It's the 3-pointer setting up the low post threats. That's what it is. And it's like, it's going to complement the both. But if the pass game can't do anything, it doesn't matter what the run game can do. If the pass game can't do anything, Kyler Murray's not going to be an Arizona Cardinal next year. So all of this is Kyler Murray. Pass, run, whatever it is. If he's a top 5 or even a top 10 MVP candidate, they win 12 games. It could look so many different ways with how much talent they have on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would love to see more passing. I would love to see more just chunk plays. They had some last year. Like, it wasn't, I know they were towards the bottom of the NFL, but I mean, they had a couple huge plays to Marvin Harrison Jr., not even just a Rams game. They need somebody else who can spread the field.
Yeah.
I that's exactly what I was trying to get us to, was the Kyler Murray running the ball aspect, because ultimately I think this season is going to be won or lost if Kyler Murray is a true dual threat quarterback. What Clancy mentioned is exactly right. 95 of those, 500 yards it was last year, whatever it was 572. 95 of those came in 2 runs. If Kyler is not good enough to sit back there in the pocket and just pick other teams apart, he's accurate enough, but some of the other tangible things, I don't think he's got the strongest arm. I don't think he can see above the line half the time. That's just from my perspective. If Kyler's not rushing the ball effectively and making other teams pay a little bit more and open up windows because they're creeping, worried about him rushing with the ball. Like, I think that's where a lot of the season comes down to. But Kyler continues to say, I want to run more. I want to run more. I want to run more. It's become, if we're doing basketball analogies, DeAndre Ayton every year where it's like, I'm dominating. Okay, no more of that. Show me, don't tell me. That's where all of this comes down on Kyler and his ability to rush the football, Clancy. That's kind of the point I was trying to make too.
DeAndre Ayton is a wallflower. DeAndre Ayton's not – we've seen Kyler Murray take that – when Kyler Murray took that hit from that end from the Jets, popped his helmet off, got back up, shrugged it off, and smiled, it's different. He's like, yeah, it takes a little bit longer. And this is not a joke. Like, this is going to sound like a pun, but this is the only way to use it. His growth was stunted for 4 years with the head coach. Like, he did not have a normal upbringing in the NFL. And that's not like an abnormal thing. It happens. There's a lot of terrible head coaches out there. This is the reset. This is the reset. He's been reborn after the 2022 season, in my opinion. And this is the year, your junior year in this system, where you pop. And either he will or he won't. But I think it's win-loss, man. It's not numbers-based. It's wins and losses. And that's really all that matters this year. It's what matters every year. But it's all that matters this year.
I wanted to bring up as well your point of top rushing offense last year. The Cardinals were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th in the NFL in rushing the football. Do they got to be a top 5 team this year if they want to be successful? I mean, I feel like that would add a win or two that they didn't have last year. Jamil?
I think they got to be top 10 for sure. Top 10 and you're good. They don't need to be a top 5 team. It just, like I said, it has to be a threat when you walk into other stadiums that they can beat us with the run game if we don't tighten up our defense. So to have that ability is everything, especially if you're speaking in terms of Kyler sometimes not being the most efficient in the pass game. Like, then you have to have something that he can lean on and you guys can hang your hat on in situations where you may be struggling in the pass game. Okay, well, we can RPO you to death, or we can, read option you or triple, whatever you want to call it. Like, he just has to have the ability to go into that bag and become a threat.
All right, let's keep the conversation moving. Now that the roster is set, should the Arizona Cardinals add another piece to this team, whether through free agency? And maybe let's talk a little bit more about a disgruntled wide receiver, maybe not Tyreek Hill just this time, Jacoby Myers as well. But first, before we get there, message from our sponsor.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by, Yahoo Fantasy. NFL is 8 days away? And you can feel the buzz, man. Fantasy football season's here. The group chats are blowing up. I've got a draft in about 28 minutes that is on Yahoo Fantasy. You should join. Download the app, man. Whether you're a first-timer, veteran, creating your millionth league, do it. I'm in 3 leagues myself, all on Yahoo Fantasy. With kickoff on September 4th, now is the time to play Yahoo Fantasy Football, which offers so many fun ways to compete. You want to instantly play with friends? Try the new Draft with Friends mode. No crew, no problem. Join a public league, the easiest way to play. Prefer the classics, get the crew together, and go head-to-head in a private league. The NFL season kicks off September 4th. So don't wait. Start your league now. Draft now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL.
All right, let's keep the conversation rolling here as I take down this lower third. We kind of talked about this to end the show the other day. And we got in a little bit of a fight over Tyreek Hill. Will they, won't they? And we can get there. But is there something – we've talked about the weaknesses of this team. I've kind of felt like it's the defensive the defensive backs, at least depth-wise, and then probably the same issues in the interior of the offensive line, maybe even Jonah Williams as well. Is there a certain piece that's out there? I've heard people talk about, you got to bring a quarterback 3. You got to add this. You got to add that. Is there a certain position out there like that could use some depth? I wish Monty Ossenfort would be aggressive and put in a waiver claim there, or go get someone there, Clancy.
It depends on how good Michael Wilson is, I think, is like the big thing. Like I had this like revelation on my show that I posted this morning where it's like, if Michael Wilson can level up, they don't need anything. They don't need a quarterback 3. If Kyler gets hurt and Jacoby has to play, there'll be plenty of dudes that can come in and back him up. Like, I don't think that's something that's not a point of concern. And Clayton Tune, for those who didn't see, signed with the Packers, so he's gone. I think the offensive line,
53 or practice squad?
I think the practice squad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't be 53, I don't think.
That'd be crazy.
I'll look that up.
When it comes to the wide receiver room, like, let me just paint this. We brought up for what Ben's referring to is last week we talked about this. A Bleacher Report put out an article. Every team should propose this trade. It was an exercise. Every team had one trade to propose before week 1. They wrote that the Cardinals should offer a second-round pick for Tyreek Hill. Okay, and I thought they would do it in a heartbeat if that's something Miami would call for. The reason why is they've got $22 million to spend, okay? And they're in a situation where they can do it without really having any sort of earthquake for the future. And they could use a stud wide receiver in the room. But when it comes to Jacoby Myers, dude, like Spot Track, Michael Giannetti over there is projecting 2-year, $60 million extensions. Like, ain't no way, dude. There's no way you're getting that money. So if that's what he's looking for, and I think that he and Monty had a tie back in New England, it's not going to happen. If you want the Monty special, maybe, but I don't know. What about you, Jamil? I mean, are there any glaring things?
Which offensive lineman do you want to throw into the bus, Jamil?
I'm not throwing any offensive lineman. It's too. We haven't played a game yet. Well, let's get to the games first. Offensive line is going to be fine. I think. Yeah, maybe a receiver. But I'm confident in the guys that they do have, especially if we're talking about Trey McBride being an extension of the pass game. Like, I mean, the guy caught 100 receptions. Like, I just don't know that, like, you can stack receivers all you want. Kyler's got to spread the ball out at some point. So I feel like they got enough from that standpoint. I don't know, man. I don't see the receiver thing being an issue. A quarterback 3, no. If you get to the quarterback 3, your season's a wash. Yeah. You might as well pack it up, get healthy, and run it back next year. I really, and I'm not just saying this because this is a Cardinal squad show, I really think this team has everything on paper to, barring any injuries, to be where they need to be at the end of the year. We're not saying that they have the best, DBs or the best D-line or the best O-line, but they're in a good spot. Like, they should feel really good health-wise of where their team is to go and compete and make some things happen. Like, so I just don't see a point in adding a receiver. I don't see a point in adding anyone right now unless it's, I don't know. I just can't think of anyone that I would put there.
But before I feel like poo-poo all over this, let's talk about Jacoby Myers really quickly. We did talk about the Tyreek Hill thing. I think also to that conversation, like, it would never happen either. But Jacoby Myers is interesting. He's 29 years old. He's a 6'2" wide receiver. He's more of a possession guy, not really a burner. But I think someone who could fit the mold of the Cardinals decently, because I think similar to that Keenan Allen type player, a safety blanket over the middle, or someone who can find the soft spots and zones and just sure hands that you could dump the ball off to. The Cardinals kind of already have that. But Jacoby Myers, would you go get him if it was a 5th round pick? I mean, would you give up a 4th like the Vikings did today for Adam Thielen? That felt a little steep.
Not at this point. At this point. Not where you're at. Like, okay, yeah, I guess the upside of giving up a 5th round pick or whatever is great, but like, receivers, when they come in the same year, you typically don't get that immediate production because it takes time for quarterbacks and receivers to learn each other. He could learn the playbook as fast as he wants. He doesn't know how Kyler is processing the information and where Kyler needs him and things like that. I just don't see a point in making it even more complicated. There's miscommunications that happen when you do things like that. Like, roll with the guys that you got, man. I don't want to chase ghosts with this is a good player. We know he can be effective. But for where this team is, they need to go with who is in that locker room and ride it until there needs to be a change made.
Yeah. I mean, you got 75% of that with Zay Jones anyways for a fraction of the price. You know, like it's not about what you're giving up. It's about what you're paying him after. And because that's why he's holding out right now, or holding in, whatever the hell it's called. And the Adam Thielen thing, like I always see when it's a draft pick 2 years away, people usually give a round more than they would, because that's 2 years from now's problem. That's not now's problem. So that's, I think, why. Plus they wanted to get it done and they wanted to bring him home. Like the boring thing, this is what a non-toxic relationship looks like. It's boring. You know, there's no loose ends that need to be sewn up. And it's, what is it is greater than the sum of its parts. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts, whatever it is. You don't have to have the best cornerback group. You don't have to have the best pass rush. You don't have to have the best, interior defensive line group. But the collection of those 11 is far and away above at least 10 of the, without even thinking about it, is at least, 10, even with the young dudes playing. And this offense with the skill position group, even though it is a little bit top heavy with a solid offensive line, is far and away above 10 or 12 teams' offenses. So the collection of all of that on game day of those 22 is, it doesn't have to be splashy. It just has to work.
That's it.
And that's where we're at. And it's boring as bleep, but it's awesome. I'd rather there be no waves.
It just feels like even if they were going to bring someone in, who in the world would you bring in? Who would be someone that is going to make a difference to the point? Like, and it's good to talk about this because we are not the only people who have done some version of this segment along the way. And I've seen people say, well, you need a quarterback 3. Really? Do you really need someone to hold the clipboard that badly?
That's silly.
And it's the point you had made, Jamil. It's like, if you're on your third, honestly, if you're on your second quarterback and your quarterback is in the top half of the NFL, your season's probably over.
It's a steep climb. It's a steep climb. But
I think with Jacoby, like, say Kyler's out 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't like, if it's spotty, like, put it this way, like, it's even bigger than this year. If Kyler Murray gets hurt and he's out for 8 weeks, he's not the quarterback next year.
Yeah.
Like, that's another thing that you have to throw into this. Like,
I will say the Cardinals
14 games this year.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah, I will say the Cardinals are in a unique position because they probably are one of the only teams that could go to a quarterback 2 and maybe be middle of the road,
Yeah, not have a major drop off is what you're saying.
Like Jacoby's proven he can play in games. Like, he has a unique skill set where he can win, tough games. So the Cardinals are in a unique position from that standpoint. But quarterback 3, I mean, gosh, I like
it's crazy, man.
Yeah,
it feels like we're just getting upset just to get upset. I think I think every starting position on this team, I at least feel decent about. Pretty much the entire roster, I feel really good about, outside of the middle linebacker position. And so I'll ask this really quickly, because honest question for my guy Brian Abdullah, I think Clancy's #1 fan, I believe, in the chat, is what happens if something happens to Mac Wilson? What do they do? I was watching a Dan Patrick interview with Trevor Sikkim of Pro Football Focus, who has all the data and all the things that Pro Football Focus uses to show what's the most important on the field. He had mentioned if you have Fred Warner, it's different. But middle linebacker at this point is probably, or off-ball linebacker, is probably one of the more positions that you could figure out or scheme around. But I will say, Akeem Davis-Gaither, I didn't think looked great in the preseason. Is this more of like we're just waiting for Cody Simon to get ready? Or is that the one lone position on the field where you're mostly starting 2 guys outside of maybe a package or 2? Do the Cardinals, is that their worst position right now that you could be the most worried about, I guess?
If the Cardinals' MO wasn't to pressure and to create exotic, blitz packages and things like that, I would say yes. But I think they'll do a good job of covering up the lack of, I don't want to say good players there, because they are good players. It's just they don't pop out on tape a whole bunch. They're system players. I think they'll do a good job of covering those guys up when the regular season comes around with the blitzing and obviously when that D-line is, within the game, and you got Calais, and eventually we're going to get Walter Nolan in there at some point, hopefully. Like, once you get those guys in front of the linebackers, they just got completely a revamped lifestyle at linebackers. So I don't think it's a concern, just given we haven't seen them play with the first string D-line.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. And I wouldn't rule out, say something were to happen, dropping Daedrum Taylor-Demerson into a role in that area. Like they've like a Deion Buchanan role. Like, this is Jimmy Johnson made his career on dropping DBs to play backer in the middle of the field. Like, if there's anybody in this world that can figure out an alternative plan, a contingency plan, if Mac Wilson were to get hurt, it's Nick Ross. He's worked with nothing for the last 2 seasons, and they were 15th by metrics last year. And Budda Baker, that's just a normal Tuesday for him. I guess it would be Sunday here, where that's what he's done. He's played with underwhelming defenses, very top-heavy defenses in his entirety of his career up until this point. Like, it's going to unlock something else. Like, is Mac Wilson one of the 11 best defenders on this team? Probably. But if, like, say they found a package where you drop Daedrum Taylor-Demerson in there instead, maybe that's better. Like, maybe, I mean, injuries unlock things that wildest dreams would never think of because it wasn't a reality at that point. I feel like they'll figure it out if something like that were to happen. Obviously, you hope that it doesn't.
Yeah, this is actually, just while we're on the topic, I think this is also interesting from Brian. If Mac goes down, who gets the green dot? Are you giving it to Akeem Davis-Gaither, who has called the defense before, if I'm not mistaken, in Cincinnati, or are you giving it to Budda?
Huh? Cody Simon.
A rook?
Yeah.
You're going to trust a rook to get everyone
it's
set?
It's going to be one of those
backers.
backers. It's not going to be anybody else.
Okay.
Like, this is, it's next man up. Like, this is the next man up thing, where it's like, this is what the stencil is going to be. Doesn't matter what your jersey number is or what your experience is. If you're put in to play that role, you're going to play that role in its entirety. Yeah. I mean, at least my thoughts.
I would agree with you only on this point with Cody Simon, is that, like, it's kind of hard if Budda Baker's calling the plays to also communicate that to the defensive lineman while you're 15, 20 yards back on the field. That's why it was kind of always a little silly to say he was going to wear the green dot just because he's the guy. But Mac Wilson is a smaller backer, someone that could obviously risk injury. There's all injury there. It's just an interesting thought exercise to do. All right, let's move on. Let's close out the show with this. The Saints have decided to pull one awful quarterback for another. And so we know our starter that the Cardinals will be going up against. Is it changed the way we feel about the game? Does it feel like it's a gimme game right there? As well as week 2, the Panthers just shooing away guys that also went ham against the Cardinals last year in their win against them. Let's talk about the Cardinals' first 2 opponents and what those 2 transactions mean. All right, so I think it's Paradise Valley's own Spencer Rattler is going to be the New Orleans Saints starting quarterback. I'm a little surprised, but also, man, how bad did Tyler Sucks had to be in the first couple of practices and games for them to go to Spencer Rattler, who, by the way, was awful last year. So, Spencer Rattler is getting the starting nod for this team. Let me try to paint some sort of an argument for why this could be a little worrisome for the Cardinals. Spencer Rattler, let's say he's getting his last chance, at least with the Saints, to be the starter of the team. He could be ready to go, balls to the wall, ball out, knowing that if he doesn't play well, he's getting pulled. That only has so long of a shelf life. But there is a mentality that you could have, super focus, laser focus. The Cardinals haven't played the Saints, with Spencer Rattler on their team. They don't know what they're going to get. It's a new coaching staff, new formations, new playbook. Does it at least scare you a little bit that Spencer Rattler could be coming in playing with house money, whereas Tyler Shuck, we kind of always thought he'd get a little bit of a leeway? Or is it just nothing's really changed? Spencer Rattler's coming into the fold. The Cardinals should absolutely take care of business.
The Cardinals should feel good about where this is. I mean, it's not like Spencer Rattler lit the preseason up. And so I just don't see a point. I don't see a point in, getting beside ourselves that Spencer Rattler is going to be at the helm week 1. I think that the Cardinals should lean into the more exotic, the better. I think you give this guy fits as far as what it looks like on third down. Is it man? Is it zone? You throw a ton of different combinations at him, and he's going to maybe give you 1 or 2 picks given a week 1 type of, opponent that the Cardinals defense is. So I was just shocked, man. I felt like, you heard so much about Tyler Shuck being the guy for so long, and then it didn't. I mean, we knew it was a competition, but it seemed like it was leaning towards that way the whole time. And so, yeah, I think the Cardinals are in a good spot.
You feel better about it? You feel better about their chances than you would if Tyler Shuck was playing?
I don't feel worse. I don't feel worse. I'm not saying it like from a bad spot. I'm saying like I don't think that Spencer Rattler proposes a threat that the Cardinals defense has not seen before.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Listen, for those that don't remember, Spencer Rattler was Wally pipped by Caleb Williams at Oklahoma, and then he had to transfer to South Carolina where he put up bonkers numbers. I thought that he was going to – I still think he's going to be a solid pro. He's got a hell of an arm. He had no offensive line last year. He had no weapons. MVS was his number 1 weapon last year. Alvin Kamara, broke down midway through the season when he had 9 receptions for 14 yards every game. Like, they were bad last year. Chris Olave didn't play because he had another concussion. The defense wasn't good. They shipped off Marshawn Lattimore. Like, that was a bad team last year. But who was the offensive coordinator for the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles last year? Kellen Moore, who is now the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Yeah. This is not something that's like Dennis Allen. I could have been a better head coach than Dennis Allen last year. The kid had no shot. Plus, it was supposed to be Derek Carr all year, and then Derek Carr decided he got hurt, and then he decided to retire. Like, I would not take Spencer Rattler lightly. I'm not saying he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. The dude is not going to be a bottom 5 quarterback this year. We've seen enough tape to where Chris Olave is healthy. They've got Rashid Shaheed. They've got Alvin Kamara. Like, they've got Kendre Miller. Their offensive line has improved. Like, this isn't going to be a rollover game where the Cardinals are 100% going to win by 40. I'd rather see Tyler Shuck because I'd rather see a rookie than a dude who's seen some sort of NFL play. But, it's a win-win. I'm higher on Spencer Rattler than others.
No, I'm not saying it from a standpoint of the Cardinals are going to just roll in there and, and beat the guys. I just think that I don't see it being a huge bump in whether or not it changes the landscape of the game. I think that, like I said, I don't think that his he proposes a threat that they have not seen, especially this defense having the veteran leadership that it has. I think that they'll be able to adjust to whatever it is, because we don't know what they're going to come out running week 1, but this defense, not being a young defense, is going to be able to adjust to it, and I think they'll be fine. So it's going to be a good game still. I'm not saying it.
Yeah. So to piggyback off of Clancy's point, I might not think Spencer Rattler is going to be great in the NFL. Clancy could think he's going to be better than I think he is, but it doesn't really matter what we think. Kellen Moore, to Clancy's point, is a Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator. So he's seen a thing or two. Right? Why do you think Kellen Moore feels he has a better chance to win with Spencer Rattler than he does Tyler Shuck? Neither guy lit up the preseason.
Tyler Shuck is terrible at Louisville. Do you see the clip of him at the combine?
I don't think I'm not defending Tyler Shuck. I think they're both bad.
I think Spencer Rattler's just a better quarterback. Plus, he knows Alvin Kamara. It's the path of least resistance. If it's 50-50, you go with the dude that people have been on a field with before, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I just felt like it confused me from a standpoint of, like I said, all training camp, we've heard that this is Tyler's year and it's going to be him. And then, what was this 2 days ago? It came out that yesterday that Spencer Rattler is going to be the starter. And so And like I said, he didn't light up the preseason, so I'm wondering what was the conversation, or what was the point in all training camp you're leaning towards Tyler Shuck, and then now the day you cut the roster down, it's Spencer Rattler. It just, I don't know. It was just weird to me how usually that doesn't happen with quarterbacks. Usually you kind of make it known who your guy is early, and you roll with it. So it was just different to hear that.
And it could change.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I think someone put it in here. Yeah, Terry Morris. Listen, it could be Rattler in the first half and then Shuck in the second half with how bad it could go, I think, in New Orleans. Let's also really quickly talk about the week 2 matchup, because the first 2 opponents made some big transactions. The Panthers traded away Adam Thielen, who absolutely torched the Arizona Cardinals last year in Carolina when the Cardinals had a must-win game. It was really haywire in the first half. They figured it out in the second half. James Conner goes down. They can't move the football anymore. Bryce Young, man, he is going into a game now with Xavier Legette, Tet McMillan, another young wide receiver's name that I forget, Chuba Hubbard. Like, it's not a cast of guys that scare you at least that much. Do you feel better or worse that you will not be seeing Adam Thielen in week 2, I believe, in Carolina for the Cardinals game? Is it in Phoenix?
Yep.
Okay, whatever.
The young receiver whose name you didn't know is the reason why Adam Thielen is not on the team.
I did see that.
Jalen Coker is the reason why. Jalen Coker, for those who are in dynasty leagues who haven't drafted on Yahoo Fantasy yet, draft Jalen Coker. Jalen Coker is going to be the second option on that team. Xavier Legette may play a part. Jalen Coker has just balled out. He was hurt. He missed a couple games last year. That's why. Jalen Coker, if I had to pick one guy that will torch the Cardinals in Phoenix, it's going to be Jalen Coker, 5 for 70 and a touchdown. I think it's writings on the wall. That offense is sneaky. I was wildly wrong about Bryce Young. I was like, it's got to be CJ Stroud. I don't know why it's not and why Carolina didn't draft him. And now it's they both kind of regress back to the mean. Bryce Young is a top 7 smartest quarterback that the NFL has.
I love Bryce Young.
And he's able to withstand his, more frail frame with that. He's just smarter than other people. Yeah. And he knows his spaces. So I'm not excited about that game either.
Yeah, I think there's always someone in the helm, right? So you get rid of Adam Thielen, there's a reason why they felt comfortable enough to let.
Well, they
Adam
did give up a 4th round pick. Like, I don't want to make it seem like, and I understand 2 years from now, but like
they traded a 4th for a 7th, pretty much.
Oh, did they swap a couple of picks?
Yeah, and it was in 2027 also.
Yeah. Gotcha. So I feel like they're comfortable with where they're at, and there's a reason why they were able to move on from that guy. Bryce Young, to me, is one of the more intriguing quarterbacks, like Clancy said. Like, we saw this guy get better last year, late in the year, start playing some really good football. Like, you got to see the intangibles that we loved about him in college. You got to see that pop out within the NFL. And now he's revamped with a better offense, better passing. Chuba Hubbard, I love the way he runs the ball. Like, I think their offensive line is a really solid group. I think they play well. The Panthers are not going to be a cakewalk. Like, that team is young. They're hungry. They believe in Bryce Young because of what he showed them. And that game is going to be a real, we're going to get to see 2 really good teams on paper kind of see what they have in store for the season. Like, that'll be a tough game for the Cardinals.
Who should win that game? Just out of curiosity, who would you lean towards in that game? And I'll pull up some odds here in a second.
Cardinals. The Cardinals are favored. I think the Cardinals are favored. They've got to be favored by 2.5 or 3.
Close.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
From our fans.
Like, here's the thing: the Panthers have been the Achilles heel of the Cardinals.
Oh my God, yeah.
Since Cam Newton ripped Patrick Peterson's life out of his chest, at the end of the 2025 season, they lost, in Kyler Murray's rookie year, I think, because Budda Baker was out. They lost this past season on the road. Like, it's,
it dates all the way back to Ryan Lindley, dude.
It's crazy.
Yeah, no, the Panthers thing, for years now, I'd been saying, I think the Cardinals are going to beat them, but now I just assume they're going to lose because the Panthers have had their number. outside of the one time where they played Baker Mayfield. And it's not like they ran away with that game. And that was a weird season with whoever the head coach was at that time. I think he's at Nebraska now. Whatever. Can't remember his name.
Matt Rule.
Matt Rule.
Matt Rule. But anyways, it was just interesting to deep dive into both those because the Arizona Cardinals, both those opponents made some big news over the past couple of days. However, with that being said, guys, we will be here on Friday at 6 p.m. No show on Saturday, no show on Sunday. There is no Cardinals game, but we know how desperately you want to hang out with Jamil, Clancy, myself included there as well. So we're going to be here on Friday at 6 p.m. You don't got any Friday night plans? Well, come hang out with us. We'll talk all things Cardinals then, Friday at 6 p.m. So for Jamil, Clancy, myself, everyone in the chat, the Walker, Darren, Brian, Terry, everyone that has been tuning in, thank you so much. And we will see you guys on Friday.